Good morning, YouTube. Let's talk about snipers. I've been asked this a lot. Which is the best sniper? AX50 versus HDR, AX50 versus Kar98. What is now the best sniper, Pony? And the answer is personal preference as always. But on top of that, let me give you some metadata. Right now, I put on the attachments for maximum range and maximum bullet velocity on every gun, discarding the ADS speeds. And as you can see here right now, the Kar98 has the slowest time to kill. We're talking about 3 plates headshot, and the Kar98 just falls off over distance tremendously, as you can see, because the bullet velocity of the Kar98 is slower than the bullet velocity of the HDR and of the AX50, whereas the HDR actually has the fastest bullet velocity by just a margin in comparison to the AX50. Because a very interesting thing I found out about the AX50 is I was using the SingGuard stock because everyone was using the SingGuard stock, but I actually didn't know the metadata on that. And the mere reality is that the 32-inch barrel actually increases the bullet velocity by, we're going to check the number exactly, 60%, I think. And that makes it almost HDR-like, but also tremendously reduces the ADS speed on the gun. But you can see it here, the fastest time to kill with bullet travel to target. Obviously, if you put bullet travel off, all these guns do a one-shot headshot. But if you look for the bullet travel to target, the HDR technically kills the fastest on any distance. The AX50 is right behind that, a little bit slower, so you might have to calculate a little bit more for the bullet drop, whereas the Kar98 obviously is quite useless on the long range because the bullet traveled so much and you get a lead for this amount of milliseconds actually. So you have on 140 meters, 60 millisecond bullet travel to the target. It's quite slow. But with this chart, at least you know how much you have to lead with the Kar98. I mean, if you obviously can lead by 160 milliseconds on the distance. If we're looking at the data, it kind of explains itself though. You see the bullet velocity of the guns here. We have 1040 for the HDR, then you have 1012 for the AX50, and the Kar98 only has a 900 meters per second bullet velocity, so obviously tremendously slower, where the RETICLE is even more scuffed, but the Kar98 has obviously also half the ADS speed, already by nature without really putting a lot of attachments on. That's pretty mental, just considering that the Kar98 goes in so fast and you can just go to like boop 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 boop, because let's be fair, on a 60 meter range, easy. On an 80 meter range, easy. On a 100 meter range, easy. On a 120 meter range, that's where it slowly like starts getting scuffed. Obviously, like with the HDR and the AX50, you do the very, very long range snipes. You know, they're like, oh, he's on Mars? Down. Thing is, what does that use you? He gets rest by the time. Obviously, it gives you an opening for pushing. Hey, Podium, why do you have the RETICLE in there and you don't show us? Well, the RETICLE, you know, bullet travel time to target, headshot hit. So with the headshot hit, you don't one shot. Like all these guns are one shot, but this gun has a 400 millisecond time to kill on a headshot. You need like 2 hits in the head to actually kill someone. It's awful as hell. And as you can see, like it only gets worse over distance, making everything bad because your bullet travel to the target goes tremendously up. I mean, if someone's standing 160 meters away, you almost add 200 milliseconds of time to kill alone due to the bullet travel because your freaking bullet is so slow and the gun has the ADS time of a freaking HDR and then does not even one shot kill. But yes, it's great against cars. So let's discard the RETICLE for here. We talked about it a little bit, but the real guns are these. As we can derive from here, and as I have said it on Twitch live multiple times from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. every single day apart from Sundays, you should check out Twitch TV Ponyhof. The HDR is the sniper where you're standing in the back lines, you're supporting your team, you're making the callouts left, right, middle, behind the tree, and you're popping some heads. The AX50 is the gun where you're running with your team in increments, like you go a bit, you go a bit, you go a bit, and the Kar98 is the sniper where you're having your AR in the one hand or your SMG. The Kar98 in the other hand, dual wield, and you're full sprinting with your teammates that have an SMG while you're just flicking this gun out and shooting at people with your 300 millisecond ADS time over the others. Just gonna pew, pew, and while you're sprinting wildly forward. That's really what the Kar98 is there for. It's the pushing sniper. Some would argue, why don't I just then actually do play AR LMG for spraying? Because some people like to pop the heads, and it's a very satisfying feeling, especially if you're running up with your team and it's like your team is running up, there's someone that starts spraying and you whip that gun out, the bullet punch almost non-existent on the Kar98, pop his head, and then you keep running. Whip out your AR or SMG, whatever gun you actually pair with the Kar98. You should watch the video about it. There's a very good AUG and a very good AMAX you can pair with the Kar98. And then you just crack those heads. Especially as you can see, the further or the closer you push in, the more useful you get. But the less useful these guns get because the ADS time is scuffing them over. Whereas really, the Kar98 has half the ADS time. So when it comes down to snipers, again, personal preference. What is your playstyle? How are you gaming these guns? Super aggressive, super slow? Are you the more conservative sniper? Also, you have to know when to snipe and when to give up sniping and actually push with your team. And that's where I see the Kar98 as having less of the problem, because you kind of move up with your team while sniping. Whereas with the HDR, your team is in and you're sending 3 buildings out. And they're like, hey, Jimmy, where are you? Oh, yeah, I'm sniping. I only hit like 2 shots, but I'm sniping. So get in there, get in the fray, pull your Kar98 out, push these fools and get them down. As you can see, the difference between the HDR and the Kar98 is not really big. I'm actually going to try that out today with the new barrel on the AX50. Let me show you the barrel quickly. As you can see here in the barrels, usually I've been using the Singuard Pro because with the plus 54 ADS time, it just felt better. And it got recommended to me, and I was believed because someone was a crazy sniper and he hits all the shots, and it makes perfect sense. But if we look at the factory barrel, the bullet velocity is almost twice that high. You have a plus 39% bullet velocity with a range modifier of plus 21%. The range modifier is obviously non-existent, that's 4% more, but that's almost twice the bullet velocity. That makes such a big difference to put it on the level of an HDR bullet velocity. And therefore, I'd say the AX50 is going to be my new favorite one. I mean, it has been my favorite one anyways, but I'm going to try it out. Definitely more extensive, and I'm going to drop some videos here to see how much the 32 factory barrel is doing. Let's look at some builds now for the Kar98, for the HDR, and also for the AX50. Let's start with the AX50. You have the monolithic suppressor, the 32-inch factory barrel, as we said, for the 40% bullet velocity increase, tac laser, maximum ADS speed, standard scope. You can, if you really feel like it, put in the variable zoom scope with the thermal optics, but I really find the sniper scope, especially with the second reticle, to be one of the best ones simply as it is. On top of that, you have the Singuard Arms Assassin for the bonus ADS speed and the FMJ perk for the wall bangs. If you want a bonus scope, I would probably put the FMJ perk off. Then we're having the HDR, monolithic suppressor, HDR Pro for the most bullet velocity and range. Tac laser, again, same goes here, standard scope, second reticle, or if you really want to, variable zoom plus thermal optic. Again, thermal optics are crutch. If you're colorblind, I've heard a lot of colorblind people actually using thermal optics, totally understand, but generally the normal scope is more than enough, and the zoom scopes screw you more over than they actually help. You have the ACOG Stalker Scout stock for more ADS speed, and the perk focus when you get hit because of the stupid ADS times of the gun to not flinch that much to be able to still shoot, because the ADS time kind of sucks. Last but not least, there are multiple ways to play the K9 because the K9 is a very agile gun there. You have the monolithic suppressor of the Singuard Custom for the maximum range and velocity, tac laser for ADS speed on par. You have the sniper scope, which is for me personally the best, but if we're talking about the super hyper aggressive plays, you technically have the option to play a scout combat optic. You could play flip hybrid. You could play this solo zero enhanced. This is actually kind of down to you. What you feel fits personally your playstyle the best. Scout combat optic can be really nice, especially with the second reticle. First reticle sucks. Second reticle is good for sniping. Fourth reticle would even be better. But I kind of love the sniper scope on any distance, close distance, short distance, mid distance, whatevs. Plus sleight of hand, Because with the sniper scope, the K9 doesn't have a 5 mag reload anymore, where you're gonna like, boom, just put them in. No, with the sniper scope, it has single bullet reload. If you then actually put on a different scope, like the Scout Combat Optic, the whole gun gets like a 5 bullet reload again in the chamber straight away. I love the sniper scope. It's just my favorite. Sleight of hand, instant reload. Just whippersnap it out and crack those fools left and right. To sum it up one last time. HDR, you stay in the back lines. AX50, you push medium up with your team. And Kar98, you're a fragger. You're going like crazy. You're just running at the opponent, shooting left and right, throwing bullets at them. Super aggressive sniper. Personal preference on all three of them. I hope you enjoyed this comparison. I hope you liked this video. Thanks for watching here. Subscribe to the channel. Don't forget that. Click the bell and also check out the other videos, the other comparison on the other snipers. Have a good, great one, and see you soon in the Warzone.